You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
Ask and you shall receive. Republicans have been saying for weeks they want an official vote to move forward the impeachment inquiry against Donald Trump. Well, Nancy Pelosi said, you want it, you got it. That took place today in the House. Here is Speaker Pelosi introducing H.R. 660.
I want to begin my remarks by some of the most beautiful words in our country's history. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States. It goes on immediately to establish Article 1, the legislative branch, Article 2, the executive branch, Article 3, the judiciary. The genius of the Constitution, a separation of powers, 3 co-equal branches of government to be a check and balance on each other. And it's to that we take the oath of office. We gather here on that opening day with our families gathered round to proudly raise our hand to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that is exactly what we are doing today. Sadly, this is not any cause for any glee or comfort. This is something that is very solemn, that is something prayerful, and that we had to gather so much information to take us to this next step. Again, this is a solemn occasion. Nobody, I doubt anybody in this place or anybody that you know comes to Congress to take the oath of office, comes to Congress to impeach the President of the United States, unless his actions are jeopardizing our honoring our oath of office. So I'm grateful to our committee chairs for all of the careful and thoughtful investigation they have been doing as this inquiry has proceeded. And today, the House takes the next step forward as we establish the procedures for open hearings conducted by the House Intelligence Committee so that the public can see the facts for themselves. This resolution ensures transparency, advancing public disclosure of deposition transcripts and outlining the procedures for the transfer of evidence to the Judiciary Committee to use in its proceedings. It enables effective public hearings, setting out procedures for the questioning of witnesses and continuing the precedent of giving the minority the same rights in questioning witnesses as the majority, which has been true at every step of this inquiry, despite what you might hear fulminating there. It provides the President and his counsel opportunities to participate, including presenting his case, submitting requests for testimony, attending hearings, raising objections to testimony given, cross-examining witnesses, and more. And contrary to what you may have heard today, we give more opportunity to his case than was given to other presidents before. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for making that point so clearly. And these actions, this process, these open hearings, seeking the truth and making it available to the American people, will inform Congress on the very difficult decisions we will have to make in the future as to whether to impeach the president. That decision has not been made. That's what the inquiry will investigate, and then we can make the decision based on the truth. I don't know why the Republicans are afraid of the truth. Every member should support allowing the American people to hear the facts for themselves. That is really what this vote is about. It's about the truth. And what is at stake What is at stake in all of this is nothing less than our democracy. I proudly stand next to the flag, and I thank the gentleman from New York for providing it for us. This flag, so many have fought and died for this flag, which stands for our democracy. When Benjamin Franklin came out of Independence Hall, you've heard this over and over, on September 17th, 1787, the day our Constitution was adopted, he came out of Independence Hall and people said to him, Dr. Franklin, what do we have, a monarchy or a republic? And he said, as you know, he said, a republic, if we can keep it. If we can keep it. And this Constitution is the blueprint for our republic and not a monarchy. But when we have a president who says, Article 2 says I can do whatever I want, that is in defiance of the separation of powers. That's not what our Constitution says.
All right, let's go to our panel. Joining me in the studio is Dr. Greg Carr, Chair of the Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. Also, Scott Bolden, former head of the National Bar Political Action Committee, attorney there in Washington, D.C. Lauren Victoria Burke, she is with the NNPA. All right, first and foremost, Scott, here's what I find to be just hilarious. Republicans, in fact, I got an email today from the Republican National Committee saying that what Democrats are doing is Soviet-style dictatorship. And I'm going, they don't follow a constitution in the Soviet Union. Putin does whatever he wants. Then you have Republicans saying that this is, if this was Steve Scalise, if this was a trial, first of all, you clearly haven't read the Constitution.
Right.
The House doesn't conduct the trial. The House serves pretty much as the grand jury. The trial takes place in the Senate. Then they say this has been done in secrecy, but they're using the exact same rules that the Republicans implemented when they were in charge. It is so hilarious how they're bitching and moaning about process and just flat out lying as if Democrats have created some new set of rules that we've never seen before, as foreign as all get out.
Right. Well, let me start my commentary off. Hats off to the Washington Nats, spiking up on the Houston Astros. Now,
Give
what was your
a damn
question,
about the
Roland?
Washington Nationals. You ain't even from
Y'all can't
DC.
even win at home. You can't win at home. In any event.
You ain't even from. Y'all didn't win at home either. Don't start.
Okay,
Don't start.
Well, I've been here 30 years, but hats off to the Washington Nats. It was a good series. But be that as it may, what was your question?
You ain't from DC. Bandwagon. I ain't never heard you mention the Nationals, and I ain't heard you mention the Nationals in 4 years.
Because they're the world champions. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Bandwagon. Sound like Negroes celebrating the Capitals winning, don't even watch hockey.
Yeah, hey, we still celebrate winners in D.C. In any event, don't be mad.
That's my point.
The Republicans.
Hold on. Let me go to Greg Carr.
No,
Greg Carr, I know you prepared to answer my question. See,
let me do my
that's how
thing.
you shut Scott down.
Oh.
So Greg Carr, let me start with you. Greg, Republicans consistently lying.
He can't do
They're
that.
lying, Greg Carr. Scott, you wait. Scott, I'm reclaiming my time. Greg Carr.
No, brother. Hey, look. And listen, I don't have a horse in that Houston Astros versus Washington Nationals.
Yield your time back to me.
I haven't
Yield
spent
your time.
I haven't spent a dime. You got to bring it all into the legal perspective, Scott.
I know.
You already know, brother, because when they got rid of Dusty Baker, I haven't been to the Nationals game since. So I really don't care. So that having been said, the Republicans are playing the only card they have.
Right.
I mean, they are the party of white nationalism. They are the party of hyper-capitalist interests. And they're the party of a permanent anti-democratic minority rule in the Electoral College. So the only play they have is no. And this is probably the only play they're going to have for the foreseeable future. That means that no matter the evidence, no matter the truth, no matter the Constitution, no matter any of that, in fact, it was Thomas Jefferson that said the check on the passions of every citizen in the United States is what he called, quote, the chains of the U.S. Constitution. But of course, that doesn't stop Ivanka Trump today from tweeting that another Jefferson quote talking about spies and enemies, which gets to the real point. This isn't about process. This isn't about substance. This is about propaganda and a permanent political war from an increasingly minority white party that is now looking at the fact that it can't win a popular election because their last candidate, Donald Trump, lost by 3 million votes in terms of the popular vote. That having been said, Nancy Pelosi seems to be playing, again, people are accusing her of being a political genius, and she may very well be. She could string this all the way out to the election. And you see how she talks in a way making them even crazier with the even tone and the Benjamin Franklin and the American flag and the Constitution. Meanwhile, people, hicks like Jim Jordan and this Mark Meadows and all this crew of cartoon characters just getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And Nancy Pelosi is playing for the cameras. Finally, the one man who had no job to do today. He's not standing at the world-famous Apollo. He's not doing anything. And that's Donald Trump, who had no public, no events on his public calendar today. Tweets that it's the biggest witch hunt in American history. This is all politics, brother. The Constitution be damned.
Yeah, Roland
Burke, what is so hilarious about, I'm sorry, reclaiming my time. Lauren Burke, what is so hilarious about this is that Republicans have presented this view, and then you got people on Fox News just going along with it and lying their asses off as well. As if Republicans have no role in this, they're not in the hearing, they're not asking questions. There are 47 Republicans sitting on the 3 committees involved in this.
Right.
To act as if they're being frozen out is a joke.
Yeah, I mean, the strategy that they're pursuing now is to completely evade any conversation about the details of what's going on. So they're not even really talking about, they're not really making an argument about anything that has been alleged at all. They're just calling the entire thing bogus, the entire thing is a witch hunt, the entire thing is illegitimate and secretive. All of that, of course, makes no sense given what they performed during the Benghazi targeting of Hillary Clinton, which had, you know, hearings and conversations and testimony and deposition and everything else that they're now complaining about. So they're trying to dodge any conversation, obviously, about the details, but they can't do that when we get to the hearing phase and you have one side of the aisle asking specific questions of specific actors. And obviously the other thing that they're doing, too, that at some point has to come to a halt, and I think that this is when we really come to the sort of constitutional crisis phase of this, is that when they start saying executive privilege and they refuse to have people testify and they refuse to have people actually answer questions, at some point there has to be a confrontation, right? And then not even get to the point where the people are actually showing up. They're just saying, we're not showing up because this person is never going to speak to this committee. So that's when I think we get to a point in this of real confrontation, because if there is no testimony offered by certain actors who are likely in trouble one way or the other, the Republicans can kind of continue their obstruction argument of what they're doing. But at some point, it's going to come to a head. It's going to come to a vote. He's probably going to get impeached in the House. And obviously, in the Senate, it's a different story.
Well, Roland, I also
Scott,
think that
here's what's the most hilarious about all of this. There will be public hearings.
Right.
So the Republicans have presented this as if everything is in secret and you don't know, and secret witnesses and secret testimony. There are going to be public hearings, and they are going to have to try to explain away individuals who have been appointed by Donald Trump, who have worked for him, who have defended him. They're going to explain away them saying, yes, he asked for a foreign power to investigate a political rival.
Right.
Trump is going to keep saying, he tweeted, read the transcript. We haven't seen the verbatim transcript. We've seen a summary. And so they're going to have to, that's going to be a day of reckoning. And so at some point, you're lying about process isn't going to do anything, because you're going to have to face the music.
Yeah, you're going to see the power of television with those witnesses. And you and I and others on this program have talked about the power of television and the reality of depth and substance and truth, and the whole process argument goes out the window. They're going to have to defend that. The other thing to watch is John Bolton and others have filed a lawsuit in federal district court to ask the court to determine whether they have to testify or not under subpoena. And I predict either this week or next week, the federal court is going to rule in favor of the House Democrats that Bolton and others have to show up as former employees, and they're going to have to testify as part of this impeachment process. Watch for that decision, because everyone involved in this impeachment process is watching for it, because that'll be a legal decision that future witnesses and people who have been subpoenaed won't be able to get out from under, because hopefully you'll have a judicial decision, even if you get expedited review at the D.C. Circuit level. But lastly, Roland, you know, the Republicans had a saying when they ran the House. They say elections have consequences. Well, they lost. The Democrats control the House now, so they control the rules, and the Democrats have given them what they wanted. They wanted public hearings. They wanted to be more people in these depositions. They wanted the release of the deposition transcripts, and the Democrats have agreed to all of that. They are afraid of the truth, and it doesn't seem, if you're so innocent, if the GOP and the president are so innocent, why not fully cooperate and show your innocence? The fact of the matter is, there's no innocence to be found on the GOP side or the White House.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Yep. All right, folks, Luxe Jazz experience taking place in Cabo, November 7th through the 11th next week. Yours truly will be there. We want you to be there as well. Go to lifeluxejazz.com, LIFELUXEJAZZ.com. 14 acts, Gerald Albright, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Shalea, Ronnie Laws. I mean, it's going to be jam-packed. Now, here's the deal. If you can't go, I understand. But you can also participate by getting the live streaming pass from GFNTV.com, GFNTV.com. $10.99, you'll get to see all of the concerts over the course of 3 days. It's fantastic. Oh, did I tell you that GFNTV.com, Black-owned? Yeah, as well. And so, also, Luxe Jazz Experience, Black-owned. A sister created this to provide an opportunity for African Americans who live in a lot of these cold states, even though climate change has screwed that sucker up, to opportunity, of course, to hang out in Mexico for 4 days and have a great time. I'll be doing Roland Martin Unfiltered there next Thursday and Friday from Cabo, but you can experience the concerts by going to GFNTV.com and getting your live streaming pass. So please do so, and we look forward to checking it out. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.